To get started, guys, these are the materials that I'm going to be working with. I have my doll face bridal satin here, and it's about 2 yards. I also have my already prepared bodice. I've turned my fashion fabric with the lining, and I've joined the front and the back together along the shoulder. So here's my back. I haven't fixed any zipper yet, and I have the front on the other side. So these are what I'm going to be working with. I also have my fabric scissors, my measuring tape. I've got my chalk in my hand, and I also have my pattern master. Now let's get straight ahead into this tutorial. The first thing I'm going to do is to get the length of my flare, how long I want it to be. This will help me to determine the radius, and I want it to start from the under bust. So I'm going over to take the measurement right from the other under bust, take it across the shoulder, and then take my tape all the way to the back where I want it to end. And I have about 24-25 inches thereabouts, including the seam allowance that I'm going to be working on. I've gone ahead to fold the fabric into 2. I'm going to be dividing my measurement by 3 because it is going to be a half circle, and I have about 8.3 inches, and I'm just going over to mark my radius. I'm going over to take 8.3 inches from the folded edge. Once that is all done, the next thing I'll do is to mark the length, and I'm going for a length of about 7 inches, including the seam allowance I would use to turn this at the edge. So I'm just going over to mark the length of 7 inches all across, and once I'm done with this, I'll proceed and cut this out. I've gone ahead to cut it out, guys, and this is the outcome. This is what it looks like. The next thing I will do is to shape the open-ended area. So what I'm going to do is I will just create a curve from one end, the upper part, and I'll smoothen it down to the edge of the flare. So this will take out that sharp end, and it should give this a really nice curve. So the outcome is what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be cutting 4 pieces of this, and that's because I'm going to be using this same doll face to line. So that means I will need 2 for one side and 2 for the other side. So I'm just going over to duplicate this pattern. All is set and done, and I have 4 pattern pieces. I ironed in interfacing on 2, while the other one that I don't have interfacing on, I'm going to be using it to line them respectively. So I'm just going over to place right sides against each other, and then I'll proceed to my sewing machine and sew it down by the edge all the way around. I would also repeat likewise for the other flare too. So one would go for the left shoulder, the other would go for the right shoulder. I'm done securing the raw edges of the flare. The next thing would be to join these to the bodice, and since I'm going to be joining this from the underbust, I'm just going over to get my underbust measurement, which is 3 inches away from the waist. I'll pin it down. After that, I'm going to be securing the edge all around the bodice just the way I want it to appear on the bodice. So I would advise you to pin it down first of all, so that when you get to the sewing machine, it becomes very easy for you to stitch on. Once all is set and done, I would proceed to my sewing machine and stitch this all the way from the back to the front. I would do likewise for the other side of the blouse too. So guys, this is the outcome. This is what it looks like. The good thing about this is that you can make this into as many layers as you want. You can make it 2 layers, you can make it 3 layers, depending on how exaggerated you want it to be. And this is what it looks like on the back. If you found this tutorial helpful, kindly give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click on the subscribe button down below. Also turn on your notifications so you can become notified whenever I upload a new video on this channel. You can also watch my other tutorials. I'm sure you'll find one that you would need. Goodbye.